was at work, and this girl was talking to me about. She kept going in and out of the bathroom. She would come out of the bathroom, wash her hands, go get a paper towel, and she'll wash it. Then she'll stop and be like, "Nope, it's not right," and then she'll go back into the bathroom.
What's not right?
That's what I couldn't figure out. So then she comes out maybe the second or third time, and she was just like, "Man, I didn't get it right again." So then now I'm curious. I'm like, "What didn't you get it right?" So I'm thinking, I'm just like, "Oh, I thought she put like a Uber ring in or what that thing is called, that O-ring or something in." And then she was like, "No, see, my uncle, he always told me that it was trifling. After you'd be pooping out work and you not getting a shower or whatever, like you got to wipe that off." And I was like, "Yeah, I get that." She was just like, so he taught me how to take 2 napkins or paper towels and put it inside of her butt cheeks so they don't touch. Because when they touch, that's what makes your butt itch after you done pooped at work.
Well,
why don't she just wash her ass?
Let's start off
with some paper towels.
2 things that just concern me. Number 1, why is your uncle teaching you this? Number 1, is he molesting you? Number 2 is that is not what makes it itch. It's nasty ass people ain't wiping too good that makes it itch. That's what makes it itch. You need to wipe it, then you need to go over it with some wipes. That's what you need to do.
Get a paper towel and wipe it.
But it's too dang hard trying to put some paper towel in between my cheeks.
Get it in there. She couldn't get it right. And then the last time she was like, "I got it."
She was YT, wasn't she?
Good for you. No.
One of us. And on that note, welcome to another episode of Blended Views Unfiltered, where we talk life, love, business, and bathrooms. This is DeAndre.
Hey, Booze, it's me.
It's Kenesha.
And this is Nick. Somebody went out of turns like a spade game.
Yeah.
Who went out of turn?
The person texting.
I'm not texting.
What are you doing?
That's even worse.
Who went out of turn?
Is this a survey?
Yeah.
Can we ask you a question?
The survey says.
Me?
Yes.
Just me?
Yes, because we had an episode, and you had to go to the bathroom. I have a question for you. Do you know what the term bukkake means?
Who?
Bukkake.
What is that?
Let's continue. I just was curious.
What is that?
It's a sexual term, but we was talking about it upstairs. We said we're gonna ask, Sile, does she know what this means?
Sile wouldn't know what it is.
I would know.
I thought you I said, yeah, I thought you work with a lot of YT people, so you might have heard the saying before.
Is that a no?
No. It's a little disturbing, actually.
We just go jump right into
it. Overwhelming,
Listen,
actually.
We've been having some interesting conversations here lately, and we struck up on quite a few topics last week.
All you ladies pop your boots like this. Shake your body, don't stop, don't miss. All you ladies pop your boots like this.
That last episode got y'all in the mood now, huh?
Just do it.
Nasty heifers.
Do it.
Can't trust
do
them
it.
at all.
Do it now. Lick it good. Suck this just like you should. Right now, lick it good. Suck this just like you should.
Let's start OnlyFans. It's gonna be
my back, lick my and my crack.
I can't trust a dude that's just licking crack. Even if you think about that song, you ever stop and think about
We're not doing this. We're not doing this. You should say that for the other one.
But Niche, you ever stop and listen to some lyrics?
Yes, I
like
do.
He ain't say eat the bike.
Yeah.
He said lick the crack. Why are you just licking the crack?
Yeah, right between the crack.
Like, why are you just licking the crack? Sound like dude off of Don't Be a Menace.
Yeah.
What's Ice Pick?
Yeah. That song Too Close. Too Close. Who make that song? Not Next.
That joint.
No. Oh, why you crying?
It is Next, ain't it?
Are you so
It
excited?
is. That song is filthy
I was in
too.
there. I was
It's
in there
called
like,
Close.
yeah, it's called Close.
He's just talking about poking her the whole time.
Yeah, I was cracking up when I finally realized what that song was.
Yeah.
You were singing it at the age of 10.
I was younger than that.
Since we're on music, I do have a question. On Genuine's Pony, I forgot. Me and Shamar always had a debate. Like, what is he saying here? Is it if you're horny, or is it if you're on it?
I think
let's do it.
Okay, let's take a vote. I'm gonna look up the lyrics. I say horny.
I always thought it was horny. Shamar say no. It's if you're on it. Let's
Okay, what do you
do
other
it.
two think?
That it was on it.
Okay, what do you think?
I always thought it was on it too.
Okay, so 2 hornies, 2 on its.
Me and Shamar always had this debate. I'm like, what Dizzy says.
Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
He says horny boost. Here's the lyrics.
But then again, we could both be right because it could be one version say horny, and then the you know, because that's back on BET 106 in Part. Well, that might have been before.
That man said if you horny.
He might have been saying if you own it on a
maybe
clean
own
version.
It is the clean version.
That's what I'm saying. It might be a clean version.
Is that an E on next to that one?
For explicit, there's nothing next to it.
So, Dre, where was we going? You said there's a lot of conversation sparked up about last week's conversation.
It was about family and different dynamics of like relationships and whatnot. So I got a question for y'all. Do you guys think that the trauma that you guys dealt with as kids, if you dealt with any trauma, has followed you through life, whether knowingly or unknowingly? Like, do you unconsciously act out of trauma when it comes to your relationships? Relationships being whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, partnership, whatever the case may be. Do you guys unconsciously act out of trauma that you have had that you did not deal with from your childhood?
Yep.
Explain.
Oh.
Nobody else said anything.
I just thought she was going to elaborate on that a little bit.
I would like to think I'm a little better now, but I haven't been able to put it to the test yet, so I don't know. But I used to have a big thing with being vulnerable or like allowing people to, you know, do anything for me. Simply because of like what I seen my mom go through when I was younger and like her being in vulnerable states and how like that was thrown back in her face to the point like she was dependent upon a certain person. And it was like, at any point in time, I could just snatch the rug from up under you and now you have nothing. So, like, I kind of, like, put in my head at a young age, like, I'm never going to give a person that much power over me. And it's even been times where it was like, it's okay for you to be vulnerable, Saya. Like, this is a safe space, or it's okay. I'm not out to get you type of thing. But, nope, I wouldn't let myself do it simply because of that. And it's strictly because of what I witnessed, like, growing up with my mom. That's also why, like, I'm not much of a crier either. Like, if I'm crying, something's wrong.
Seriously
like,
wrong.
Something's wrong. Because I see my mom cry so much, and it was like, not going to be doing that. And it was, like, traumatic stuff, kind of. So, yeah. I wholeheartedly can say, yeah. Like, childhood trauma kind of affected me. Or now, whatever you said, whatever the question was.
Do you act out of the trauma that you do? So you think that you're less active out of it now? Or would you
I would like to think so, but I haven't been able to test it yet. So like
romantically you haven't.
Yeah.
But what about like friendships or anything like that?
I still so maybe I have been able to. I still struggle with that. I don't know. I'm not used to people like I'm not used to allowing people to like do stuff for me, or like it just being simply just like like I'm used to doing stuff for people, but like people doing stuff for me feels weird to me, because it's like, what is that? Like, why are you? What is that? And it's like people in my life that genuinely like do things nice for me, like want nothing in return out of that. But to me, it feels weird. Like I don't know what to do with it. It's like, oh my God, like what is that? It's like oh my God. Like the little me is like rattling inside, like, what do we do next? But just because like I don't know, I don't ever want to give people ammo to be able to throw at me like, well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have this, or I did this for you, so blah, blah, blah. Like that is like oh yeah, now I gotta turn up on you. Cause so it's like I don't even like kind of put myself in predicaments for people to be able to do that, whether you're like genuine or not. And that's the thing with me. Like it's not like something that another person is probably like doing, like, so like, no, I'm out to get you. I know that that's a thing with me simply because of like what I've seen and how I like programmed my mind to be. So
honestly, trauma or not, I think that's kind of smart though.
But it is kind of like, I don't want to say ruined, but it's kind of like some people has described me as like, you're too prideful, or like, it's okay. Not even controlling. Like, it's okay to let someone do something for you, or it's okay to be vulnerable. And I'm just like
don't mess up your blessings.
Yeah, kind of something like that.
But I do think that you should watch some people have alternative motives to doing things for you. I think that cautionary thing could be a good caution, but like you said, don't miss out on somebody, blessing somebody or opportunity, because there's people that, just genuinely nice people.
Let's say it could kind of carry over to, like, let's say you go get married and let's say you had a kid and you can't work. Like, are you going to be trying to push the envelope because now your husband has to take care of you and pay the bills and all of those things? So it could be like, it can carry over into like a serious issue. Like, I don't even want my husband to take care of me. No, I'm going to go to work, even though he may be financially well off to be able to take care of you.
I don't know. And I'm like kind of interested to see like how I go about that whenever I get into another relationship, because it's like, I do want, my partner to be able to, whatever.
Take care.
But I'm so used to taking care of myself. Like, I've always taken care of myself. So
you'll figure it out, because me and Shamar, when we first started dating, we dealt with that. She didn't want me to do anything for her because she was so used to somebody saying, "Oh, I did this for you. You got to do this for me." Like, everything was a transactional thing with her. So, no, I don't need this. I don't need that. And I remember I had to like her tire kept going. I remember her tire kept going flat. I said, I'll take you down here to my people. We get you in the no. I just keep putting air in it. Okay. But at the time, it was like we just started there. Okay. All right, now, shit, it's been a week now. You gotta leave. You gotta start that day off an hour early to make sure your tire cool. So I just said, let me just do this. And, she realized it was cool. And she got over it pretty. I'm not saying like comparing the two, but I think that when you recognize a genuine person from, I did this for you, you know what I'm saying? Now, I think you'll recognize that.
And she had to build that trust with you. That's a lot of it is trust.
But to answer Dre's question, also, I haven't really been through a lot of traumatic stuff as a child, but I do believe that people genuinely do carry it over. I might have been through some stuff, but I haven't been in extreme trauma situations. Yeah. There's things that I watched my dad and my mom both do that I was like, okay, y'all are great parents, but, eat the meat, chew the bones out. What I think that y'all didn't do to each other, I just, act accordingly. But I don't think, I never really truly been in anything super duper traumatic that's, unconsciously caused me to make decisions that I'm not even recognizing. So I really can't speak to it.
So if it wasn't traumas or anything, do you think that maybe some of the things that, if you look back at how you grew up, even like
absolutely
teenage years or whatever, like some of those habits
absolutely
kind of end up like filtering through and you like hold tight. Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just recently took over the family business. And a lot of things growing up that's like I see my dad do. It's like, man, I won't do that, or I got to do this a little different. I kind of fall into some of the things that my dad did in his business and stuff like that. And I got a couple, like my cousin, I always talk to him. We get together, pretty frequently. And he's like a business mentor. And he was say, hey, man, you got to, kind of, bringing up your dad's old habits. You just got to watch and pay attention to what you're doing, how you handle the money, how you do all these different stuff. So I think absolutely I see those old habits that I grew up seeing, and it's like subconsciously sometimes I do fall into that. So yeah, I agree.
I don't want to say, like I said, I don't think I went through anything traumatic, for real. I think, but there's two things that a habit kind of changed me. So like when I was younger, my mom and dad, they had knowledge of being a Christian, you know what I'm saying? But they weren't practicing it at the time. So I got to see my mom and dad not saved, right? And then one day they just popped up and they loved Jesus. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on now. Okay, so you telling me we can't listen to this song no more? Where we going on Tuesday? I can't go to grandma's house. We going to Bible study? So it was like an adjustment for me. So as an adult, sometimes I feel like I'm consistently put in that, as people in church would say, that medium area. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That lukewarmness. Because part of my habits were from seeing them and being in an environment where they weren't safe. They always protected me, don't get me wrong. But, my music that I listen to, the things that I like, and then all of a sudden it was a switch. Mm-hmm. And I still like those things. Yeah. And a lot of my decisions that I make, it's based on, it's like I constantly battle with the two. It's consistent. And then I would say, and I'm the only kid that dealt with that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I would say would be, I don't like when people don't say that they're gonna do something that they're not gonna do. So, like, it might have been like an uncle, my mom, or dad, or something. They said we was gonna go somewhere or gonna do something, and they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'll spaz. Like, I'll be upset. But it's just because I was a high-strung kid, and so it really affected me. So now, as an adult, if you tell me you're gonna do something and you don't do it, like, I have to literally go put myself in the corner and sit down and figure myself out so I can get myself together. I would say those are probably the two things I could think of. How about you, Dre?
You know what? I think one major thing with me would be I'm able to be cold-hearted super fast. And it's like a switch. It can happen super fast. When I get there, it's just like, whatever. But that happened because of my biological father. Broken promises repeatedly when I was a kid. Most of it was just him showing up. I'm going to come and see you. I'm going to be there. We was in the same city. Mm-hmm. Let alone when the times that he did move away, but it was just like, all right, I know the last time he said he was going to come to one of my games. I spent that whole game. I'm on the field. I'm looking in the stands for this cat. This joker had the nerve to tell me. He was like, it was heavy traffic in the area, so I listened on the radio. I said, our games ain't on the radio. Dang. Man, what you talking about?
I listened on the radio.
I listened on the radio. I was like, oh, no, man.
You're a professional.
From then on, it was just like lying, the promises. Yeah. That's why I like when it comes to, like, anybody know, like, I don't make promises, like, at all. You'll never catch me saying I promise. I just don't do it. It all stems from that. And just so I was just able to just, like, when it comes to emotions, just straight up I can bury it and be cool. Not feel one god doggone thing. I had to get over that because I learned through, like, having kids was when it hit me the hardest. You can be that way. Like, I could be that way to anybody, literally in relationship wise, but it will spill over into parenting. Yeah. And you don't like to think that it does, but having kids, and then you realize, like, why am I reacting this way to my kid? Right. You know what I mean? Right. So then you got to check yourself. And it takes a lot to come away from that when I absolutely want to be in that space. Right. Sometimes I got to work to get out of there.
Well, what's the opposite? What are some things as an adult that, like, traumatize you that you still have to get over?
Nothing really traumatized me as an adult that I have to get over. Now, there's some things that I don't like.
Right. Okay. So new discovery, something you went through and you was just like, yeah, no, right. This is not going to happen again.
Most of those will probably be revolved around relationships. Just things I won't put up with, things I won't settle for, things I won't go through, things that I'll recognize super fast. And I'm like, yeah, I'm straight.
I got a question. I mean? Like I said, now, I haven't really been through a lot of traumatic situations, so this is not me getting at anybody. This is just purely a question. At what age do you think that adults have to take responsibility of that trauma
immediately
and stop?
Yeah, I think
blaming the future for it.
I think immediately, like, because I don't place blame in the sense of, like, this is why I act like that. Like, it's me acknowledging that's where it stems from. Now, it may never go away. What I do know is I have full control over it. I have full control over it, but occasionally, maybe if I'm, like, slipping, I may feel it, but I recognize it and I adjust immediately. So I feel like, once you can get a grasp on it, it's definitely, like, your job, or identify it. You should definitely start working on it immediately and not let it control you or have power over you.
I hear too many people, they use that. Like, I feel like, and this is me being as sympathetic as I can. I hear a lot of people that they use that trauma like as a crutch. They use that trauma as a reason behind the actions that you do. Almost like, hey, I'm sorry I do this, but it's because I grew up like this.
Yeah, it's like fallback.
It's just like, at what point do you say, you know what, okay, I've been through this, And it's not my fault, like Will Smith said. Like, it's not my fault about what I've been through, but it is my responsibility to shape out my life from here on out. I just hear too many people say that, and it's just like I said, I haven't really been through a lot of stuff, and my heart goes out to the people. Like, my dad was in my life. My mom was in my life. I grew up in a regular household. And my heart do go out to the brothers and the sisters that grew up without a dad or a mom in their household. But it's like, at what point do you have to say, my dad wasn't there, but I'm gonna be a better father. Mm-hmm. My dad wasn't there, but that doesn't give me the reason to walk around like a punk almost. You know what I'm saying? Like a mama's boy.
I agree with that because I could have easily been a product of who my dad was to be in my siblings. But for me, I always say that even though he wasn't there, he still taught me at least one big, huge, valuable lesson. He taught me how not to be as a father. And I made a vow at a young age that whenever I had kids, I would be the complete opposite of who and what he was to me. So that's why I approach parenting the way that I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people that make excuses and they hold on to that. They go in with built-in excuses for whatever, their reasons, and it's annoying.
Oh my gosh, it turns my gears.
It's annoying.
It turns my gears.
Even though they say, "Well, I dealt with it," or "I know it," it's just like, "All right, well, fix it."
Well, what you gonna do about it now?
You can do it, but it's just one of those things. But I feel like a lot of those people also have people in their lives that enable them as well, and they feed into the bull crap. So if you don't have anybody in your life that's calling you out on your BS and holding you accountable, it makes it easier for you to just kind of chill there if you want to.
Yeah, I'll stop talking to you.
So speaking of like that kind of stuff, right? So Sile, you didn't have your pops in your life, right? We talked about this a little bit on a last episode. What, if any, whether it be trauma, habits, or feelings, emotions, have you carried with you, whether it be your whole life or up until now, that may spill over? You're not a mom yet, but do you feel like it will affect how you parent with the absence of your father?
No, because even though I didn't have my biological father, I was never without a dad. So I don't.
Do you ever feel the void though? Or do you ever feel the void? Because although you had a dad, do you ever feel the void of your biological dad?
I used to. And the day that I let that go was the day before I graduated college. I had went out and, alcohol brings out a different side of you. And I don't know why. It kind of hit me then. And I think it was because my mom, she had asked me, I guess he was trying to come around or something, or he had talked to my mom. And she asked do you care if he comes to your graduation? Now, me being an adult, knowing how the legal system works, you're on some sort of probation. You can't leave out of the state. So the fact that you feel the need to even call down and think that it's necessary to kind of push lies was insane to me. So it's why are you even doing this? But I let it go that night. And my boyfriend at the time, I was in the bathroom and I just started crying, boo-hoo, bawling, crying. And I ended up face down in his lap, and that's where I left it at, right in his bathroom on that floor. And ever since then, it has not bothered me. And I don't know what was so specific about that time that I just left it there, but it did used to bother me. And I told y'all last episode, I would think, oh, well, I don't know anything about, my other side of the family. They don't even know I exist. They didn't even know that there was a third daughter. And I also used to struggle with, I could see if you was just a complete deadbeat, all three of us, but you actually have memories with the other two. You had a relationship with them. And then when it came to me, it was just oh, well, whatever, whatever. So that did used to bother me too, because it used to make me feel well, dang, I am fucking amazing. Why you don't want to get to know me? And that it did, honestly used to bother me for a little bit, even though I never missed out on anything having a dad. Because my dad, like I said, is top tier. That's my guy. So I didn't miss out on anything. But from a biological standpoint, it was well, what is your problem? What is this? But now, that's his loss. I could give a damn.
If he wanted to come back into your life now, would you let him?
I don't know, because I entertained that before and it went nowhere. Simply because like he was, doing the whole, oh, I'm going to come down there. I'm going to bring your grandfather so you can meet him, blah, 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 blah. And it was like he just up and disappeared again. And then like one time I had called him or something because he wanted to start, trying to form a relationship. So I called him and he didn't answer. But then like I had talked to one of my sisters and she's like, oh yeah, me and dad, blah, blah. So I texted him and was like, it would be nice if you would answer the phone every now and then when I called. And then instead of responding to me, he reached out to my mom and called me like all type of names in the book. Like, that's your brat. That's not my brat. Like, I don't want nothing to do with her. And it was just like, okay, you're sassy, but go off. So like now I don't hold a grudge for him doing that, but it's like I entertained that before. So like I'm grown now. Like either you here or you not. And it's like, I don't need you for anything. I never have. Like, you never did a thing for me besides carry me around till you met my mom. But, like, you literally never have done a thing for me ever. Like, they don't even know I exist. So it's like, what purpose would you be serving? And I don't know. Like, I thought about if he wanted to, but I don't know. I feel like I've been there, done that. Like,
what about his side of the family?
His side of the family? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They didn't do anything to me.
So you would be open?
Yeah. Like my aunt, sometimes she'll message me, like on Facebook and stuff. And she actually wanted to like all meet up because she's never met me before. And I can't remember if she's met my sisters. And I was very open to it. Like, absolutely. I'm just not out seeking like the relationship. But if it was presented, like I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm just not out like, hey, want to hang out? Like, no. And it's not gonna happen either.
Yeah, I don't have any impression of my biological father at all because I don't know who he is, never seen him before, nothing. So I have no impression of him. But I never went without a dad. So to me, I want to find him. I would like to try to see what it is. I want to do it really for my grandmas. I want to know if I got some grandmas. But yeah, I don't have any, never went without, but he's never done anything to me besides not be there.
Yeah. So you would be open to meeting, conversation, maybe building a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, building a relationship as, not as father.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it couldn't start there.
No, I mean, it'd be probably a never get there.
Complete stranger.
Yeah, like I probably wouldn't even call him dad. I wouldn't say, this is my father, this is Michael. That's probably about it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't get to that point at all.
Now, how does that affect you when it comes to parenting?
Oh, it affected me. That's the reason why I stayed in my marriage so long, and even though it was abusive and all of that kind of stuff, because I didn't want my son not to know or not to be able to experience what it was like to have that. Now, I shouldn't have, because it wasn't my. My dad said it like this. He said, "You have nothing to do with the relationship that man's going to have with his son." Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand it when he said it, but now I do. Yeah. So I was trying to control those things, and it really wasn't my decision. So, yeah. So I say it affects me in that certain way. The reason why I held on for so long, and I shouldn't have.
Have you been open with your son about, of course, not maybe explicit details of like what happened, but maybe some of the traumas that you experienced?
Yeah.
Because he's how old?
He's 8 now.
Okay, so to the best of his understanding, have you? Because I'm sure he's had questions.
Yeah, it's just
like
so.
How honest have you been with him?
I've been honest. I did it in a way that it was good, on his level, but his mindset is he's like, I still want you to be with dad, and so I had to tell him, baby, that's not happening. Your daddy is married to somebody else, and he came to me one day, and it's like, now that he's able to see him, he was like, well, mommy, what happened? And so I had to tell him what happened. Now, but I said it in a way like, I didn't give him like detail. I said, your dad put his hands on me. I said, do you remember when I told you I didn't want you hitting girls? He said, yes. And so my son, for a moment, he would hit the girls. Now he's only like 4 or 5. He just seen a little kid. But it was very adamant for me to teach him that he was not allowed to hit girls in that way.
Right.
So I told him if he did it again, I was going to take him to the police station. And I literally, when he hit a girl, I literally drove him up to Boardman Police during COVID and had an officer come out to my car and talk to my son. Because I needed him to understand how serious this was. Yeah. Now, when I'm talking to him, I said, hey, do you remember when I told you about this and how important it's for you not to hit girls? I said, well, this is the reason why. I said, your dad put his hands on me, and that wasn't what was supposed to happen. And he has his own memory, because both times it happened, my son was there. So he has his own memory of what happens. So as I'm talking to him, he's telling me something, and I was just like, oh. And I'm like, no, baby, this is what happened. Or he just like, well, I remember this. And I was like, oh, that part did happen. So from the feedback he was giving me, I was able to kind of shift it so that he can understand. But I kept it on an 8-year-old level. Yeah. And that was about it. But that just recently happened.
How important do you guys think it is for like adults or parents of adults, whatever, to have these open conversations with kids growing up about the traumas that maybe they may have been a part of, experienced, or what you experienced, to kind of give them a better understanding of where you are, or even like why you parent the way that you parent?
It's very important. That's why they got those. So, they have, you probably know more than anything, they have, kids that are autistic. In school, they have the kids, so that those kids are in a separate class. But then they also have, I think it's called it's like a behavioral class too. They call them something else, but these are all kids who have been through something traumatic. And I used to substitute in the class. So the one girl seen her mom get killed, right? Another kid seen his mom like beat to death. So these are all kids who went through something traumatic, and it stunted their growth in some capacity. So I feel like it is important to be able to talk about it, because you really don't know how much hiding it can actually do toward them. Now they're in a whole separate class because they can't understand the concept of it's time for you to do your math homework, and they're like, no. Some of them kids just need their tail beat for real. But the ones who really went through something traumatic and it stunted sometimes the way that they talk, the way they behave, I feel like it's important for you to tell what happened. Get help.
What about you guys?
I definitely think it's important. My mom always raised us, if you old enough to ask, you're old enough to know. And that went with anything. I'll never forget, I came home and asked my mom what a twat was. Because I heard it in class. I didn't know what it was. I was younger. She always raised us, if you're old enough to ask, you're old enough to know.
That might be cool with girls, because as men, we had a lot of questions. I knew dang well not to go ask my parents about.
But my mom always preferred the information to come from her.
Yeah.
Correct.
Opposed to me going and finding out from somewhere else and it's wrong, or it's not presented to me the correct way. So that's why, she kind of took that approach. But I definitely think it's important. That way you can properly teach them, or at least try and teach them how to deal with certain stuff. Because I feel like sometimes as adults, we don't pay attention to how much stuff affects kids. Yeah. We just always think, well, this happened to me. Well, no, I was in the house with you too. So even though it didn't directly affect me, like I wasn't the one that got slapped here, but I seen it. So I think that it's important to make sure, like, have these conversations with kids. I wish that my mom would have had the conversation with me and my sister more, but I understand why, she didn't, because we were going through something. And it's funny, like when I went to Detroit the weekend before last, I was sitting going through pictures, and there was a picture of this specific picture my little brother brought up. And he's like, remember that picture? And I had like braids straight to the back, and I had like this little muscle shirt, and I looked like a little pit bull.
Like Cleo.
Real bad. So he brought that up, not knowing, like, I'm familiar with the picture, but he knew exactly the picture. And when they pulled it out, the picture was folded. there was me like on one half, and then my mom holding my sister on the other half. So I unfolded the picture, and I'm like, oh my God. And I sent the pictures to my mom, and it was us outside of the homeless shelter. And my dad was coming to get me, and I don't know why, like, he decided to take a picture, but that's what that picture was. And I was just like sitting there looking at it before I sent it to my mom, like even trying to think like, what the heck? Like, wait, what in the world? But like, I remember it like so clear how we got there, how long we stayed there. I just remember my mom, she cried the entire time we was there. Like, she just cried. But yeah, like at that time, nobody was asking me. I was of age. Like my sister, she was like just walking. So I had to be 8 or 9. But nobody was asking me like, hey, how do you feel about this? Or how is this like affecting you? Or how are you okay? Like no one was asking me that, of course, because like everyone was checking on my mom, like because it was directly happening to her, but I was still affected. I was still in the house. I still seen stuff. Like I still slept in that shelter with my mom, with my sister, and my sister was a baby, so she probably doesn't really remember it, but I do. So I definitely think it's important to have conversations like that, because you never know like how that shapes a kid's mind growing up, or how that causes them to react to certain things that you wouldn't even think that they would react to or think would be a trigger for them. So I don't know, definitely talk to your kids.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's funny that you was telling that story, Sal, and it makes me now go back and think that we've been through some traumatic stuff. And, young age, having family members killed that are very close people to us. And it did kind of like mold me up to a person where it's like death. It takes a close person to really shake me up now, and it's not a really good thing. But one thing that I would say, my parents, one of my close cousins was like a big brother. When we was young, was killed. It was super duper traumatic, and and like you said, my mom and them like was checking. Well, how are you guys taking this? And it was just like, well, we're the kids. It's more, how are y'all taking it? But it did help us out, talking to us. Okay, how do you guys feel about this? I know that y'all was super close. How was this affecting y'all? And it did help us out. It really, gave us an outlet to actually speak our mind, and was confused. Why did this happen? Who did this? Why would they kill a person? And it did really help us out. But you're right. Like a lot of people think of the parent first. Well, how are they feeling? They don't stop and think like, the children go through stuff just as well. And I do think that it's important to, touch base and see, how do you feel about this? How did you feel going through this? How can this shape your future and stuff like that, and, move accordingly. So I would agree. Like it's an important thing to do, just to touch base and see like, how does this affect you? And, some kids might need some sort of therapy to some of the stuff that they go through.
I saw a video, and it was this lady and her daughter, and they had mailboxes like outside of their rooms. And it was like for the things that her daughter didn't feel comfortable, like sitting down, actually saying, they would write letters like back and forth. And I actually like that a lot. And it's something like I would like to do whenever I have a kid, because like all the time you don't feel comfortable like sitting in front of your mom like, Mom, I feel this type of way, but you'll feel comfortable like expressing it a different way, and we're still communicating. And it's like you're not going to get in trouble for this, like this is a no judgment zone. And I really liked it. Like they had cute little mailboxes like outside of their doors. Yeah. And it was like they would put the little thing up like you got a letter, and that's how they would communicate. And it was about stuff like she just didn't feel comfortable like saying to her mom yet, but they talked about it. So
I'd be left a letter to my mom. She's like, come here. Like, what is this?
Did the mom respond back to it in her letter?
They were right. Yeah.
That's nice.
Also, they stuck with just a letter form.
Mm-hmm. And they would put the little thing up. What's the little, like to let you know, like you got mail, like the little red flag thing?
Yeah.
I want to know what the lasting effect of that would be.
What you mean?
Yeah.
Like for that little girl. How would it be when she's getting older and she doesn't really know how to express herself verbally to her husband, like, hey, how you doing? Or something like that.
Texas. Well, I felt that you came home and didn't say this, right. And this and that, and then this and that, and then you got a little thing like, hold on now, you just said there when I seen you, everything was cool this morning.
Well, I would hope that at some point it would some conversations would have to translate to a face to face, even if I guess she put in there, come talk to me,
right?
Put the flag up, but. some things, I don't know. I do believe in creating a safe space for your kid to come and talk to you, though. Yeah. Ultimately, I do think that's best. But that is a great idea.
Yeah, I like it.
For kids, because when you have multiple kids, not everyone has the same personality. Mm-hmm. So everyone's approach is going to be totally different in how they receive and respond to information given.
I tell you this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Good. It baffled me nowadays, talking to people of our generation, and maybe they got kids or it baffles me talking to so many people that never had the conversation, the birds or the bees with their family. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that my dad, I remember it might have changed the trajectory of our relationship when my dad sat us down like, yo, listen, we about to have a real conversation. Y'all beyond this point, I'm going to treat y'all like adults and we could talk about sex like men. And I remember sitting down with me and my brother, and it was like, we ain't going to call it Mr. Willie no more. That's your dick. And, you know what I'm saying? Don't be running up in all night. We had that conversation. Yeah. And it was like, from that point, it's like, dang, my dad's like, y'all can always talk to me about it. And it's like, dang, Pops. My dad always created that dynamic where it's like we were so much more comfortable talking to Pops than talking to Mom. So it's like, I feel, honestly, I grew up and listening to y'all stories about not having y'all biological fathers. It's like we grew up in a blessed space to have our dad. And the opposite, like you was talking with a lot of y'all, like having my dad around shaped me out to be, I would say I'm a pretty stand-up guy. But I would say I'm pretty stand-up. Thank you. Maybe not everybody might think it. But I would think I'm a pretty stand-up guy. I would say, my brothers and everybody, because my dad was there. And, I look at some of my friends that grew up without a dad, and it's like the stuff that they deal with, it's like, I see why y'all do the things that y'all do type stuff. But like I was saying, it do baffle me that most people don't have them open conversations with their kids or never had it with their parents. Like, I talk to people like, you never had the birds and the bees conversation? They know. I'm like, dang. I think everybody need that at some point to transition from I'm talking to you like, son, like you need to, like you becoming a man. Like we need to have manly conversations.
Some parents are afraid of what those conversations will end up doing. They look at it in a negative light. I
agree with Sile 110%. I'd rather you hear this from me than for you to pick it up from somewhere else.
Some people think like, well, if I had a conversation, then it's like giving them permission, or maybe I'll be the one introducing it to them.
It's going to introduce them. It's going to introduce to them anyways.
Especially nowadays because they're learning it at 4, 5, 6 years old.
I feel like it's better for you to get in front of it before the world, as perverted as this world is. They
don't sugarcoat it.
No, like I said, it ain't Mr. Willie no more.
Because you be shocked once you start actually talking about it, how much they already know. You be like, whoa.
I'm scared of you.
Wait a minute, you know a whole lot
of stuff I didn't know you knew.
It's like off, you ever seen Bring Down the House?
Yeah.
Well, he was like, we got to have more conversations like this.
So
she's like, Dad, you're so cool. I got so much more to tell you.
How much of like what everybody grew up with, right? How much, and you're already married, but this question would still be for you. How much of what you went through affects or affected how you chose your wife and how you guys would choose who you date? Or has it affected who you've dated in the past leading up to now? Like how you grew up, whether through trauma, even the stuff aside from trauma, you know, going through everything you went through, like how has it affected how you've dated? And I guess you can also say, how has it affected how you have chosen your friends?
Well, I'll go ahead and just get... Oh, go ahead. If somebody has something to say. I was going to get mine out the way early. I grew up in a married household, and I was fortunate enough to grow up in a, 2-parent household, and I watched my dad get a divorce, my grandpa got a divorce, my dad got a divorce, my uncle got a divorce, my oldest brother got a divorce, and I vowed that the one person I'm going to pick has got to be it. So I was very particular in who I was choosing because I did not want to get a divorce. That ran in my family, and I just wanted to end that there. So that was what shaped out to me picking, like, this person is wifey material, and I don't want to let this go. So I didn't fumble the bag. Let's put it like that.
Proud of you. See, my mom and dad are still married, so.
You say still like you with that's the goal.
Yeah, they were still married, so that also shaped me staying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't believe in divorce. I'm divorced, but I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
I would say that. Oh, and then my dad works at GM. So I felt like because he worked at GM, it was stable, you know, and he took care of us, you know what I'm saying? So when I got with my ex and he worked at GM, I was like, oh, yeah, he got benefits. This is going to work, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of just gave me a extra sense of, okay, this is going to be okay. It played into my securities. Yeah. So, and then I would say.
So since your marriage, how has that affected who you've chosen to talk to potentially date?
Oh, I need to see longevity. Longevity. I be sitting there like, you know, I ask more in-depth questions, you know, like, all right, do you own your own house? How long have you been in your current house? Are your utilities paid on time? How many times your water got shut off?
You sound like you giving a loan.
Listen, shoot, at this point, when you live in a house, I was secure in the job that he had, right?
Can't go backwards.
And then, no, when you sitting in a house and you ain't had hot water in 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, you ain't had hot water in 6 months? Yeah. No. I want to know, how long has it been? What's your relationship with Dominion and First Energy?
She right.
I want to know. Okay? I want to understand those things. For the new guy, sex is a big topic for me.
That's the longevity.
That's also longevity.
You got to be long.
There's a lot of little stuff, unfortunately. and I always say, because I don't want to get this wrong, because I'm also able to take responsibility for myself. I'm not who I am because of him. I am who I am in spite of him.
That's a bar.
So for me, I just make sure that.
Say that one more time.
I'm not who I am because of him. Okay. I am who I am in spite of him. So I make sure that I am completely like, yes, this happened. It's recognizing that this is a trauma, and it's like, okay, so what are we going to do so that this isn't, it's not getting repeated?
Yeah, it ain't longevity.
And it's not longevity. We're not doing this twice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Is it foolproof? No. People put on masks all the time. But I would say another thing that I do is I am not in a rush to say, yes, I'm going to be committed to you. I am not in a rush. Like with my ex, we dated for 6 months. We got engaged the 7th month. We was married the 9th month. I am not, and this is with me knowing him in the past. Mm-hmm. So like now, I'm cautious. I would talk to you for I talked to you for like a year or maybe 9 months, and shoot, I ain't been in a relationship since. So I can't even say that, you know, but
it's to be determined.
It's to be determined how long I'll wait. But yeah, that's definitely shaped some stuff.
What about you, ma'am? You need me to repeat the question?
No.
I didn't forget the question, actually, let me be honest with you.
I don't know. I really just want like my future person to be, I say it all the time, to be like my dad and my grandpa. And I'm not saying like they're perfect, because no one's perfect, but like they're like legit the epitome of men to me. And like in my last relationship, I realized like I did make a lot of mistakes as far as like putting up with things that I didn't have to. Also doing things that I shouldn't have done. So like now I'm like more mature enough to admit and able to see like, hey, sorry, why you do that? Or that was messed up. Or you knew you shouldn't have been doing that, and taking like accountability for my role that I played in like whatever happened between us. But also realizing like I accepted a lot of things that I didn't have to. And I had a kind of like a example of what not to do and what to do as far as like people, and that's as far as I'll leave it. But going forward, I feel like I kind of learned from those mistakes, because it's like I don't have a high tolerance for like BS now. Mm-hmm. And it's like because I realize that I don't have to deal with this. There's literally a person that will, and you out here playing around. Like, I don't have to deal with this whatsoever. So like, looking back at like people that I've talked to, you didn't have many chances to like fuck me over. Like, now that I've like been down that road already. And then like, I also think like, if I would have sat down and explained this situation to my dad, like, what would my dad say? Like, what are you doing doing after this? You know what I mean? Like, and me and my dad is one of those people, like, we have real conversations. Even though, like, I'm his daughter, like, we have real conversations. So I just realized, like, I don't have to put up with anybody's bullcrap. Like, I really don't, because there's a person that's not even going to make me put up with foolishness. And then there was a person that I talked to before, and something happened between us, and, you know, it was his fault. So when I, like, took the stance and like stood firm on my decision, like, no, like, yeah, you doing all of this to get me back, but like, it ain't nothing moving. It's like, oh, well, this could just be a story or something in our whole, like, in our bigger story. And I'm told him, like, I don't have to like deal with bullshit to have like a story, like a relationship story. Like, bullshit happening in us talking is not like, why are you normalizing this? Like, bullshit, or like, oh, well, yeah, he did this and I took him back. I'm not normal. That's not like, I don't have to normalize that to say, oh, look how far we came. The fact that he wanted to was weird to me. Like, why do you even want that to be a part of our story? Like, I don't have to normalize you.
We'll look back and laugh at this.
Yeah, like, that's the type of stuff he was on, and it was like
that might work on some people, though.
Like, that's strange of you to even want that to be a thing. So like, now I realize that I don't have to put up with anybody's bullcrap, and it's not.
Yeah, you ain't got to.
Yeah, I simply don't. Like, nobody has to put up with mine. But like, now I realize I simply do not have to. I don't have to deal with you if you decide to step out on me. I don't have to deal with you if I don't feel comfortable around you. I don't have to deal with you if I don't feel like you're treating me accordingly to how I know I deserve to be treated. And also what I'm reciprocating to you. I simply don't have to. And I had great male role models ahead of me to like show me that. Like, before my grandpa passed, him and my grandma was together for, if I'm not mistaken, for 42 years. Like, and when I say my grandpa loved my grandma's dirty drawers, like, loved my grandma's dirty drawers, like, she could do no wrong in his eyes. Like, literally treated her like the utmost, to the point where it was like, cause sometimes like, all right, grandpa, that's enough. Like, you just let her do what she want to do. And it was always, well, that's my baby. Even my dad, like, my dad is like always describe him as like a gentle giant. Like, I don't see my dad mad often. Like, he's like one of those that like, but don't piss him off. But it's like, I'm not walking around here cussing you out. I'm not being angry or doing none of that. Like, I treat my wife with respect. I do this, I do that. And they've been together since I was 4 years old. So it's like I know what can happen. I've seen it before. And I know, like, I don't have to put up with certain things. Like, I don't have to. So
yeah, you got some role models now, you know. I'll show you what a good man look like.
Another question. Are you guys, are you who you are because of your trauma?
In spite of.
yeah, I think more so that, because I didn't allow like my trauma to like, I'm not a victim of it. It's like kind of like well, here's a part of my story type of thing. It's a piece. I don't even want to say it is a piece of me, but it is a piece of me because it's something that I went through, but I like, it didn't make me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not a victim to what I've seen. I'm not a victim to what I went through. Like, I don't, oh, woe is me. Well, no, and I don't. If I didn't tell you like anything, you probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that I allow to like define me. It's just like, you know, a piece of me that I went through. It is a piece of me because I don't even want to erase it, because I'm glad in the sense that, you know, I went through something like that because it did kind of teach me certain things. But no, I'm not.
I think that we are, and not in a negative aspect. Like Sal said, like, we have to go through what we go through. Like, you have to go through what you go through to get to where you're going. And I believe that God, you know, has written our book. And I think that God has put every obstacle in front of us so that we can become stronger at the end. You know, you have to go through that dark path to get to the light. I heard a person tell me, or I heard a person say, you know, it's literally the day starts at 12, but the sun don't come out till 8. You got to go through that to get to the bright skies.
Oh, I like that.
It's a bar, ain't it?
Not so much of a bar.
That's a bar. Don't
like that,
Don't kid yourself. Don't disrespect me. That's a bar.
Sorry.
But we are shaped out, you know. We are kind of who we are, in a good point. You know, we wouldn't be who we are without, you know, some past issues. Like, you know, it doesn't happen to us. It happens. How did they say it?
For us.
For us. You know, we wouldn't be the people who we are today if we hadn't have taken little bumps and bruises. But we come out stronger in the end. You know, yeah. You had to go through your situations to become the strong woman that you are. You had to go through what you have to become a strong woman and to raise a good man. So we are who we are in a positive way. I feel like, you know, God puts, you know, sends the strongest angels and soldiers to deal with the strongest battles, but we're better off after it.
So you would say, here's a question I like asking when I'm just starting to talk to somebody new. I always ask, I can't remember if I asked this on the pod. I don't think I have, but I always ask, are you who you are, or are you who life made you?
Yeah, you did ask us.
So you would say that we are who life made us.
Yes, I would say, in a positive way though. I think that, you know, the elites of the world had to. If you ever listen to any stories of the top tier people, and you know, I'm a business person, so I study a lot of entrepreneurs. They went through trash. But I think that, like, going through trash, you know, not like, if you never had that sick and tired moment, have you ever became who you are? Like, think about, like, you know what they say, a lot of people that stops them from making a lot more money, it's making just enough money. Mm-hmm. But think about if you would have had that sick and, like, I ain't making this, I'm sick and tired of here. Would that ever ultimately push you to become the great person you are today? You know, a lot of people, They get a dude that ain't as bad to leave. Like Tony Robbins talk about this. He don't call it the sunken place, but he talk like you're in a dangerous zone where it's like, it's not that bad to leave, but it's not good enough for me to live in a passionate lifestyle. And a lot of people live in that area of their lives that's like, you know what, this job, I don't make what I want to make. My life is not fulfilled, but I make just as much that I can't leave. Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of people, like, they need that, like, I'm tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of waking up unhappy. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of being abused, to say, you know what? I'm standing up for myself. I'm going and I'm going to change the trajectory of my life and everything, my lineage that comes after me. And I think that some people need that. And I think the people that become the elites of the world, the Oprahs, the Tyler Perry's, if you ever listen to these people's stories, like, who cares if you would have made it if you was already a billionaire? We love the people that started from the mud and you grind it. So it's like, I have a highly respect for people that look at their lives like, you know what? I'm not going to live this sleep life for the rest of my life. I'm going to actually take hold of this life and write my own book. Like, I got high respect for them type of people. But I'm sorry, that was a little long-winded.
Oh, no,
but I agree with you that, you know, I feel like we are who life presents us, and it makes us stronger.
Yeah. You guys would agree?
I do.
Nothing? You got nothing?
I just, cause I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, life happens, so you really don't have control over either. I mean, you have control of who you are, yes, but you really don't have control of everything that happens to you in life. And for a person who likes to, I can admit that I like to control certain things with myself, especially these days. Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you can control what you allow to happen to you?
To an extent, I can choose what I allow to be in my presence. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But, like, my uncle passing away, there was nothing I could do about that. But, and that's even if I would have went to him and was just like, you got to stop drinking. And I was there with him every day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, he could have still waited until I left and went to go do what he was going to do. So, as a person who does like control, in a sense, I would say like I have to, like I said, go put myself in the corner and sit there and just be like, Kenesha, you can't control that. You can't fix that. You ain't gonna do nothing about that. So I don't know. That's why I'm kind of beside myself on life shaping me, and I am who I am just because of who I am. And then there's also the God factor for myself. You know, God sets things in stone, whether it's good or bad, you know, and we go through it, and either we go through it once and pick up the lesson, or sometimes God will allow us to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again until you freaking get it. So I don't know. I got to think on that. Maybe next week I'll be able to come up with a better answer with that one. Yeah,
I think that we can. I think we can't control what happens to us in life, but we can control how we prepare for things. Like you said, like it was just, I was sitting there thinking when you were saying, like, yeah, we can't control death, but we can control how much we love people while they're here.
Yeah.
Right.
We can say, you know, everybody's going to die. I mean, it's inevitable. I can leave here and get in a car crash, and, you know, this would be the last time y'all spoke to me.
Please don't.
Well, I mean, the truth is the truth. I can leave here and have a heart attack. But what I'm saying is this, is that we can't control what happens to me, but we can control, like, you know what? We laughed and had a good time, my final moments. I loved my people. When I go see my people, I try to make it the best experience because this could be the last time I talk to them. Like, we can't control the rain, but we can build something that we don't get rained on every time it happens, you know? Like, we have to just control what we can control and prepare for what we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, we can't control somebody hit us in the side of the road. Dang, we can't control that. That's why you pay for insurance. That's why you have side money. You know, you have emergency money so that you can kind of like brace yourself for what life throws at you. Yeah. Almost. That's all we can really do is just try to prepare for what life, because I think most people know things are going to happen, but most people just don't prepare for it. Right. You know, you take for granted a person's going to be here every day. We take for granted that this car is always going to drive the best way, or my house is always going to operate the way it operates. And we never think of the future, but we just need to do a better job preparing for what we can't control and to minimize the impact that it might bring.
Good stuff. In closing, give the people a short piece of advice for how to deal with, whether it be trauma, bad habits, mindset, anything, you know, changing or taking a negative to a positive. And we'll start with Sile.
Why did you do that? My piece of advice would be like, everybody goes through things. Life happens to everybody, whether you want it to or not. It's going to happen. You do not have to be a victim to your circumstances. You do not have to allow those traumatic moments, those rough moments, those hard moments to define who you are. And also don't use those as excuses and use the whole narrative of, well, this is just who I am. There's always opportunities to better yourself. If you've been through something traumatic, go get help. Go get help, whether it's therapy, whether it's talking to someone, whether it's going to the park, sitting by some water, listening to some music. Whatever you feel like you need to do that is healthy to move past that situation. You're not a tree. You're not stuck there. There's always room for you to grow outside of that. So do it.
That's good.
Niche?
I'm going to just say it the way my grandma says it. It's your wagon. You could push it or pull it. That's what some grandma said. So
grandma was wise.
Whatever you want to do with your life, go do it. You tired of being fat? You tired of being broke?
Why are you looking at me?
It is.
Man, you do this all the time.
I swear to goodness. Kenesha,
I was over here looking like this.
I swear to
he
God.
made eye contact with me, so I looked back.
I swear for God.
Why you messing up her moment?
I swear for God. I'm
you
sorry.
You better unswear for God.
I swear for God. You said you ain't got to be fat, so I was like this. I look up and she looking right at me.
Like, the burning eyes.
No, I did not.
Y'all ever seen that TikTok? That little girl was like, "I don't want to grow up as a fat adult." She's like, "Do you know any fat adults?" That's how I looked at him. Go ahead, Nisha. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, that's it. It's your wagon. You can push it or pull it.
I can't wait till I lose some weight. I ain't gonna be the butt of her jokes.
I don't even say anything.
Let me tell you something. Life, there's always a positive to every negative. There's always two sides of every coin. There's always two sides of every loaf of bread or piece of bread. Two sides to every piece of paper. Our job is to find every positive and a negative, and that will give you a sense of fulfillment. It might seem very negative, but I can guarantee you there's a positive that you can pull out of that. And the better you are at pulling the positives out of the negatives, you will live a more fulfilled life. That's all I got for you.
It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. My only piece, I'll keep it short. Don't mistaken comfort for security. A lot of people stay in certain situations.
Hold on for a second. Say that one more time.
Don't mistake comfort for security.
That's good.
A lot of times you see a lot of people stay in situations or go back to a place, back to a person. Well, that person could be in a relationship, it could be a family member, mom. Even though this family member or this person you're in a relationship with or this group of friends mean you know good, it's your sense of comfort. And you've grown from there, but that sense of comfort is really, you've really accepted that as security. So don't mistaken comfort for security. Once you grow on from a place and move out of there, keep it pushing.
Should pee.
Until next time, positive moments, play the memories, stop the pain, keep the happiness on repeat. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Whoa, wait. Before you cut it off, we just want to take the time to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blended Views Unfiltered. We want to thank all of our faithful listeners and all of you who have not tuned in faithfully, but you're just now tuning in to all of our nonsense. My man Nick got a message for y'all.
Always remember, if you guys ever wanted to write into the podcast to just tell us about your relationship, ask us any questions, get our advice on everything. This is Blended Views, so we could give you a view that you might not see in your day-to-day relationship. Always remember, write us in at info@blendedviewsunfiltered.com. That is info@blendedviewsunfiltered.com. I would spell it. I don't know how to spell all of those words. So let's just keep it at info@blendedviewsunfiltered.com.
And he's not lying. Y'all know he struggles with that. So after y'all get done with all of that boring stuff and you want to just write in and tell me how delicious I look, make sure that you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And don't forget, we are streaming on all streaming platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts at. Make sure you tune in, subscribe to every single channel as we release content every single week. Until next time, play the moments, positive memories, stop the pain, and keep the happiness on repeat. Peace.
Bye.